Yo, Big C in the house. You know the name. Fin Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami heat blazing. We scorching the floor. Marino the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play-by-play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squash the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Fin Posse Podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Fin Posse. We the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it Aqua Tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test. Expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next? You got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold an obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy.
What up, Fin fans? Welcome to another episode of the Fin Posse Podcast. I'm your host, Big C, and this is brought to you by Game Changers Media. How is everyone doing this morning? Good morning. Marcos, what up, brother? Good morning. So obviously conversations for the Miami Dolphins are going to be dominated by salary cap space, Tua Tagovailoa, what the Dolphins are going to do with Tua. Obviously the Miami Dolphins would love to move on from Tua, but that contract is hanging over their heads. And what do? You know, a lot of people are saying it's not possible to take the $99 million cap hit this year. I beg to differ. I think it'll be difficult, but it's definitely possible. Anything is possible. Now people are saying, oh, there's not enough contracts that you can maneuver around to free up the amount of space that you would need to fill out the team. First off, I'm pretty sure that only the top 52 contracts count against the salary cap. So you can sign as many $1 million, $1.5 million players to fill out the roster as need be, and it doesn't count against anything. So there's that. And then, you know, there is a way about moving on from Tua this year and being done with him, completely done with him. I don't want to go into next year owing another player money that's no longer on the football team. I think if this rebuild is handled correctly, we could be in a position to compete next season. And I think that $35 million that will be a dead cap hit for Tua Tagovailoa next year if we move on from him post June 1st. That could be very valuable to us going out and getting a difference maker in free agency. Although if you listen to this regime, if you listen to Sully, if you listen to Coach Half, that's not the way they conduct business. They're not big on going out and signing the high-priced free agents, which I think this day and age you gotta have that in your arsenal. You can't strictly build through the draft anymore. You can't. You gotta go get some guys in free agency, and sometimes you gotta go and pay the premium for them. Green Bay has a history of not doing that. The Packers have a history of not doing that. Now, did they go out and get Micah Parsons this year? Absolutely. That would have been huge for them if Parsons could have stayed healthy. But typically, Green Bay's not known for going out and signing high-priced free agents. They're not. They're known through building through the draft. But again, I question how good the Green Bay Packers would be if they didn't get severely lucky at the quarterback position. I mean, you trade for Brett Favre. Atlanta would have never let Brett Favre go if they knew what they would have had in Brett Favre, right? And then you have Aaron Rodgers fall all the way to the end of the first round, and you're able to scoop him up. I just question how good the Packers teams would be if you put an average quarterback on those rosters. How good are the Packers teams for the last 20 years if you put an average quarterback? Not an all-time great quarterback, an average quarterback. Well, they got 2 Super Bowls in the last, 30, 40 years with great quarterbacks. How good are they if they have an average quarterback? So as pumped as people are and they look at the success that the Green Bay Packers have had, which Green Bay's been good for the last 30, 35 years. They have been. They've been an upper echelon team. But I wouldn't say that the Green Bay Packers are necessarily Super Bowl contenders year in and year out. I wouldn't be like they're one of the favorites year in and year out. I wouldn't look at some of the Green Bay rosters and be like, damn, they got a really good roster. I know that I've looked at the Green Bay Packers and been like, this team could do something because they have Aaron Rodgers or because they got Brett Favre. So I don't, you can look at the glass half empty or you can look at it half full. I'm not overly sure that the Green Bay Packers way that they go about conducting business and filling out a roster is necessarily, the golden ticket to prosperity. So people were able to, at the combine, people were catching up with Sully and Coach Half, and they talked on a wide variety of subjects. They talked Tua Tagovailoa. They talked James Daniels. They talked Tyreek Hill. They talked Waddle. They talked HN. They talked about a wide variety of subjects. And of course, they're not gonna show their whole set of playing cards. They're not gonna let everybody know exactly what they're doing, but they gave us a little bit of insight. As far as Tua's future is concerned, Sully made it clear that everything's on the table, including bringing Tua Tagovailoa back. The likelihood of Tua Tagovailoa being the starter for the Miami Dolphins in 2026, I would say, is less than 5%. I think this organization is ready to move on. I think Stephen Ross is ready to move on. But at this current moment, Tua Tagovailoa is still a member of the Miami Dolphins. So what else are you going to say? What else are you going to say? Cap, what's up, brother? What else are you going to say except everything's on the table? Coach Sully also told Rich Eisen that Rich Eisen asked if there was a market. If there was a market for Tua Tagovailoa. He said there are people interested in Tua Tagovailoa. Are there really? What's he going to say? No one's interested. Come on. I mean, again, you can't show your hand completely. Even if nobody was willing to trade for Tua Tagovailoa, if nobody was interested, he's still going to say, yeah, people are interested. You got to. You have no other choice but to say, yeah, people are interested. Now, how much interest is there in Tua Tagovailoa? Do I think someone may be asking themselves, should we bring in Tua Tagovailoa? Sure, maybe. But you got to consider what's what the options are. You know that the Miami Dolphins got their hands tied behind their backs. You know that the Miami Dolphins are trying to move on from Tua Tagovailoa. You know that the Miami Dolphins likely are going to have to release Tua Tagovailoa. So why would you give up anything to get Tua? Why would you go and pay Tua that huge salary when you could get him much cheaper if you just sign him after the Dolphins release him? Cap said, I just found out the Slowick coach Kirk Cousins in Washington. Listen, I have no interest in Kirk Cousins. I have no interest in any quarterback that's going to come in here and possibly elevate this roster to a point that it takes them out of getting the number one pick in the NFL draft. Because nobody that you're going to bring in is going to elevate us enough to get us to relevance. Nobody's going to elevate us enough to get us to compete for a playoff spot. So the only thing bringing in a Kirk Cousins or any veteran quarterback's going to do for us is elevate us enough that we're too good to be the worst team in the NFL. And I think that's the key to this rebuild. I think the key to this rebuild is how badly we do in 2026, because it's going to greatly affect the quarterback we get in 2027. Now, of course, if the Miami Dolphins and Sully and Coach Half go out and give Malik Willis a boatload of money this year, obviously that changes everything up. I think that'll be the beginning of the end for them guys. I think if they go out and they sign Malik Willis, I think they've signed their death warrant in the very first year. In the very first year, I think they've signed their death warrant if they go out and they hand Malik Willis a large contract, because Malik Willis is not it. We got 6 games sample size that you're going to go out and give a guy that they're talking about. You know, I've heard crazy contract numbers, and it just keeps rising. They say he's going to surpass the Justin Fields deal. They're talking about a possible $35 million a year for Malik Willis. And if for 6 games, absolutely retarded. Miller says, real talk, Big C, you don't think Achane will elevate us to a couple of wins? Achane needs to go if we want to properly tank. He will win us games. He did it last year. You don't move on from a player like Achane at 24 years old. What are we talking about? You're talking about moving on from an elite player. An elite player. This guy is an elite player in the NFL at 24 years old, and you want to move on from him? Tell me how that leads to success in the NFL. You got one of the top, let's just say the top 10 playmakers in the NFL, and you got him and he's 24 years old and you want to move on from him. Tell me how that makes sense. Cap, Taylor Green's really raw. Like, I've watched some of his stuff. He's really raw. You know, there's a reason that the guy is a physical freak and you're not talking about him till the 6th, 7th round. You know, he's raw. He's going to take multiple years of coaching up. Would I draft him? Sure. Would I draft him and take him in the 6th round, 7th round? Sure, because you know he got the physical tools. But I mean, don't hold your breath on him becoming the future of the Miami Dolphins, though. If HN wants more money, listen, of course he wants more money. He's on his rookie deal. And there's nothing wrong with him wanting more money. There's nothing wrong with us giving him a contract extension. Again, he's 24 years old. He's 24 years old, folks. He's one of the elite playmakers in the NFL. We're not talking about the guy entering his 29th, 30 year, you know what I mean? He's not 29, 30. He's 24 years old. If he was 29, 30, I'd say, all right, let's move him, because he's going to hit that downfall. He'd be at that age where I'd be like, all right, the end is closer than the beginning. But this kid's just getting started. I feel like if we really do what we should do and what we're capable of doing this off season and next off season, we can be competing next year. And Achan's 25 years old. He's only 25. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? But yeah, Sully said everything's on the table with Tua. Do I believe that? No. Do I think that they're going to cut him pre-June 1st? No. More than likely, Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a post-June 1st cut. More than likely, post-June 1st cut. But again, I think it's smart to figure out a way to cut him this year. Fill out the roster with a bunch of guys on minimal contracts. That's okay. It's okay. You tank this year. Tank it. Tank it. You can come up with enough cap space. What you need, $14 to $16 million to sign your draft class, and then fill out the rest of the roster. I mean, you got the rookies, you got last year's rookies, you got the year before that's young guys, and then you fill out the roster with a bunch of younger talent. Our low income guys. Achan said nothing about not wanting to be here. Why would he not want to be here? He's not said anything bad about the Miami Dolphins. Mink could never want to be here. Mink could never want to be here. Fitzpatrick never wanted to be here. He didn't want to be here the first time. He didn't want to get traded back here. Mink is a completely different story. Waddle, yeah. Do I think Waddle's upset with the rebuild? Sure. But I think Waddle is also excited about having the chance to be the number one receiver again. So I don't think that I watched Teron Armstead's interview with Waddle. I didn't take from Waddle that Waddle doesn't want to be a Miami Dolphin. Yeah, I don't know what guys you feel like don't want to be here besides Fitzpatrick. It'd be impossible to tank and get the picks we want in 2027 with Waddle and Achan on the roster. Achan too elite to lose and has top value due to running back shelf life. Waddle regressing. Listen, what picks are you talking about? If we can get the picks with Waddle and Achan, quarterback play is going to be subpar. You're going to have to fill out this roster with a bunch of low salary guys. We have a ton of holes. Good morning, Bonnie. This is Jonathan Taylor negotiations. You really want to set the running back market? What do you mean? Jonathan Taylor makes $14 million a year. There's only two running backs that Achan, you don't got to reset the market. He's not due a contract. So you're going to get Achan cheaper than what if Achan was a free agent. Achan will settle for a lower contract than the max. You can keep Achan for $14, $15 million, maybe even less. And yes, I'm keeping one of the best playmakers in football for that. Now, if the guy wants $22 million, then yeah, all right. See what you can do. But you can get Achan cheaper. This isn't his contract year. This isn't his contract year. He's got a whole nother year. He's gonna take that. He's gonna take that money. So is it possible for the Miami Dolphins to take the full cap hit this year for Tua Tagovailoa? Is it even possible? Because I've seen that TD said that it wasn't possible. It's not possible. Let's check this out. So right now we're sitting 3 million under. 3 million under. We're sitting 3 million under right now. Cut to a pre 6-1. Now we're already 54 million taking the hit for that. That takes us to 99 million. That takes us 39 million over salary cap. Well, if you release to a pre 6-1, that means Bradley Chubb will be a post 6-1. Submit that. That takes you the 19 million over. Minkah Fitzpatrick, a post June 1st trade. That takes you the 3.9 million over. Austin Jackson likely to move on from him post June 1st. That takes you the 7 million under. 7 million under. Now, I'm not going to put the numbers in here, but if you give Jordan Brooks and Aaron Brewer new contracts, you can save another $8 to $9 million. That would take you up to 16 million under. You release Alec Ingold. Release Jason Sanders. So you add on the Aaron Brewer and Jordan Brooks new contracts. That would be 8 to 9 million added on. You're looking at $23 million. $23 million. You need 14 to 16 million to. You need 16 to 13 million or 14 to 16 million dollars to sign your rookie class. Listen, it's possible. It's possible. Post June 1st cuts are kept on the books until June 2nd. Well, that's all. I don't believe that to be true, Edward. That's the whole reason that they're post first. They give you cap relief immediately. Miller, that's how Mike McDaniel used Achane. That doesn't mean that this new offense is going to use Achane the same way. I mean, Edward, I don't know. I put the numbers in the cap thing. I would hope that it works correctly. You know what I mean? If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like I said, I'm not a salary cap and aficionado or whatnot. I use over the cap. I put the numbers in and it gives me what it gives me. As far as over the cap's concerned, it'd be possible. Sully said that they've had conversations with Malik Williams, said they like and respect Malik Willis. Not Williams, Malik Willis. They said they like and respect him. To be honest, though, I think that the Malik Willis, I think they're interested in Malik Willis, which I get it. They're comfortable with him. They know who he is. They got an inside track on him. But I think Malik Willis is just pricing himself out of Miami. I think he's the only realistic free agent quarterback out there that, you know, has the possibility to be a potential starter, long-term starter for a team. So he's gonna get a contract that's bigger than probably what he should get. He's probably going to get a larger contract than he should get. I think he's going to price himself out of Miami. I think the Miami Dolphins would be foolish to chase after that contract. Again, he's only got 6 games. 6 games as a starter. That's not enough to entrust this guy to the future of this franchise. So I think there is interest. Do they make an offer to him? Possibly, but I think Malik Willis ends up signing somewhere else. Sully and Coach Half also said they're excited about Brady Quinn or Brady Quinn, Jesus. Quinn Ewers didn't rule out adding a vet and said they're more than likely drafting 1, possibly two quarterbacks in the draft. I don't think that we're going to select a quarterback early in this draft, but some late round guys, some guys that bring in some competition. Trade everyone, embrace the tank. Lewis, I'm not against trading. I'm not trading Waddle. I don't think that I'm just not trading. Jesus. I need to take a timeout. I'm trading Waddle. I'll trade Waddle all day. I'm not trading Achane. I'm not trading Achane. I don't think the value's there. I'm not taking a 3rd round pick for one of the premier playmakers in this league. I'm just not doing it. I'm just not doing it. Anybody else on this roster, except maybe Patrick Paul, and even then, if you offer me enough for Patrick Paul, if you offer me a deal like they did for Laramie Tunsil, I'm jumping all over that too. But Achane, you're going to have to give me a 1st round pick for Achane to make me even consider. The guy's 24 years old. I'm not moving off him. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins add a veteran quarterback to compete with Quinn Ewers. Draft a couple guys possibly later on in the draft. Again, what does it hurt? Best possible scenario is that Quinn Ewers comes out and does amazing things for the Miami Dolphins and shows that he can be a potential starter long-term for the Dolphins. That's the best possible scenario. Because if Quinn Ewers comes out and lights it up this year, that frees up next year's draft to just go out and surround Quinn Ewers with talent. It allows you to, if you got a top draft pick next year, to move back in the draft and pick up multiple 1st round picks, because next year's quarterback class is fantastic and teams are probably going to be willing to move up. That'd be best case scenario. Quinn Ewers did show me some things last year, but not enough for me to have full confidence that he's going to come in and light it up. Sully said they're listening to all offers, but plan on having Waddle and Achane on the roster. They're not trying to actively trade either of these players, he said. These 2 guys are his 2 top offensive playmakers. So yeah, I don't think they're actively trying to trade. Of course, they're going to lift. You got to listen to all offers. Without question. Without question, you got to listen to all offers. They discussed Tyreek Hill. They said age, contract, injury were reasons for the move. I believe that all those things were part of the decision, but you got to believe that Tyreek's off the field antics, this being a new regime, they didn't want to deal with all that. A roster that's rebuilding, an aging wide receiver that's costing you that much money, coming off a devastating injury. It's no surprise that the Dolphins are moving on from Tyreek. It does hurt me that they are. I'm a big Tyreek guy. Brought a lot of excitement to the Miami Dolphins, but I get the move. It makes sense. It's not a stupid move. They discussed the James Daniels release, saying availability is the best availability. James Daniels, we signed him. He was our big free agent signing last year. He played 3 snaps for us. But this move is still a head scratcher to me because we have massive holes at the guard position. James Daniels, when healthy, is a premier guard in this league. James Daniels, releasing him freed up minimal cap space. It's actually costing us more to release James Daniels than it is to keep James Daniels. So I don't know if there's more to it. Do they know more about? Is he still dealing with injuries? Does he not want to be here? I don't know, but the James Daniels thing is weird to me, considering we have such a huge hole at guard. Again, like I said, look for the Dolphins to fill out the roster with contracts of lower value. Green Bay is known for signing the most players to lower contracts in the NFL. They're not big if spending in free agency. Look for the Miami Dolphins to follow that accord, follow that plan, that game plan. The Miami Dolphins aren't going to be major players of free agency, especially this year, and I think down the road. If you're expecting this team to go out and sign premier free agents, I mean, you're probably going to be sadly mistaken. And we're going to have a shit ton of cap space next year. And for us not to go out and spend it, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, especially because you've seen what the New England Patriots were able to do. You know, one year they got a top 5 draft pick. They go out and they spend $150 million in free agency, and they're in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's the quickest turnaround. That's the quickest way to put yourself in a position to compete, is to go out and spend $150 million in free agency. $150 million can get you 8 premier players. Well, maybe not 8, maybe 6. Get you 6 premier players. Hearing that the Miami Dolphins are trying to shake Austin Jackson down, trying to get him to maybe renegotiate his contract. If not, look for them to try to move on from Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson's been dealing with a lot of injuries. He's got a high cap number. Look for them to possibly try to move on from Austin Jackson. Asked about whether the Miami Dolphins are going to play 3-4 or a 4-3. They said they're going to look for good football players who can affect the edge, regardless if they're 3-4 guys or 4-3 guys. It matters what type of football players they are. If they can make a difference, if they're playmakers, they're going to go out and get them. They're not going to let the formation dictate the player that they draft. Which, I mean, I think they will to a point. If guys are strictly 4-3 guys and they plan on running a 3-4, I think that's going to affect whether they draft them or not. But I think Miami's going to run a hybrid. I think most teams do. You're going to see some 4-3. You're going to see some 3-4s. But I think the Miami Dolphins are going to go with a 4-3 as their primary defense. Talked about the cornerback position. He mentioned Marshall and Juju Brents, which I think Juju Brents has a lot of potential. It's just the injuries. It's the injuries with Juju Brents. But he talked about Marshall and Juju Brents. Again, a lot of holes on this team. I think the Miami Dolphins need 2 corners. I think they need a linebacker. I think they need multiple pass rushers. They probably need 2 safeties. I would say 2 wide receivers, multiple offensive linemen, and a quarterback. The Miami Dolphins have a lot of holes. Sully also said he wanted to turn 7 picks into 12. Only way to do that is trading people of value or trading back, Miller, or trading back. Daniel didn't want to play last year. He stole the $8 million last year I think by the time he was ready to come back, he realized that the ship was sinking, and maybe he didn't come back. I think it's just I find it hard to release a good player at a position that you're hurting at. I find it hard to release a player that has so much potential at a position you're so weak at. It's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough year. Listen, and I know I probably sound like a broken record. I'm not in love with the Sully hiring. I'm not in love with the half hiring. I'm just not feeling the excitement that I have in the past. Even in dark times in the previous Miami Dolphins seasons where we tore things down and started rebuilds, I felt a level of excitement that things could be different. With these guys, I'm just not feeling it. I just feel like these guys they're not rah guys, in my opinion. I think these guys are, I think they have their heart sets on building a team the way that the Green Bay Packers have. And I just feel like Green Bay has been mostly based on the success of the quarterback position. And you can't count on getting all-time great quarterbacks every time you get a quarterback. And Green Bay's been very lucky. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now even Jordan Love, which Jordan Love is good. I definitely want to put him on the same plateau as Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. But I just feel like they're so concentrated on building the Green Bay way, not spending big in free agency, not going about it the way the Green Bay Packers have typically went about it, that they're ignoring and telling us before they even know what's going on that, yeah, we're not going to spend free agent dollars on people. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're going to do things the Green Bay way. And you're watching these teams able to turn things around quickly, and that's not a recipe for turning things around quickly. If you're strictly going by the draft and you're strictly re-signing your own players, which right now we're talking about not re-signing our own players. We're talking about shipping Devon Achane out at 24 years old. So what is it? Are we going to re-sign our own players and build through the draft, or what is it? Which way are we going about this? Because if you're going to build through the draft and re-sign your own players, Devon Achane's up for a contract. You re-sign stud players. And if you're not going to re-sign your stud players that you hit home runs with in the draft, then what are we doing? Yeah, I'm not heartbroken over James Daniels-Bonnie. I'm not heartbroken. I just feel like it costs us more to release him than to keep him. So you might as well have kept him and see if we could have got something out of him. I think James Daniels helps us win football games. So I'm okay. If James Daniels plays, I think he helps us win football games. So I'm okay with him being gone. Again, I'm for anything that involves us losing games this year, besides trading Achane. I'm all right trading Waddle. I think Waddle is getting up there in age. I think we've seen what Waddle can do. And to me, Waddle's not an upper echelon player. He's a good player, but not an upper echelon player. I think Achane can be even better. I'm not moving on from Achane. Let Achane have an elite offensive line. Put that kid behind an elite offensive line and see what that kid can do. Now, Mike McDaniel came up with some great schemes last year with Brunskill, the sixth offensive lineman. being able to get HN in the space. But let him get an elite offensive line in front of him and see what he can do. We're talking about moving on from a kid that's 24 years old and one of the elite playmakers in the NFL. Why? Because he's earned a contract? Now, if we're not going to sign free agents, we got to keep our own free agents, right? And I know it's the running back position, and I know it's the least valued position in all of football besides maybe the kicking position, but he's still a premier player. You can tank with HN. Just don't run him out there a million times a game. Limit what he's doing this year. Keep him healthy for the 2027 season. I mean, of course you play him, but limit his snaps. Don't run him out there on the offensive side of the ball. You know what I mean? Like, or at the wide receiver position. Lewis, you'd move on from eight. So, Lewis, you'd move on from everybody. Lewis, I can send you the link. What? How would you rebuild? What would you go? How would you do things? There's the link, brother. If you want to jump on. I'm curious. You know, I'm open to hearing. You know what I mean? Miller says the shelf life of an elite running back is still low. His value and production warrant a trade. For what though? You're not gonna get the value for him. You have nobody else on the roster that warrants a large contract. It's okay to give somebody a large contract. Who else on the roster warrants a large contract right now? It's okay to spend some of the money. Again, if you were getting a first for HN, I'm cool with it. I'd be open to it. But a third round pick, I'm not. It's not equal. It doesn't equal out. It doesn't equal out, in my opinion. Shelf life. We're talking about shelf life at 24 years old. That blows my mind. You give him a 3-4 year deal, and he's still 28 years old at the end of the contract. He's 28 years old, 27, 28 by the time you can move on, get out the contract. I agree, Bonnie. I think we're not talking about just a good running back. We're talking an elite player. An elite player. You just mentioned what he does in the passing game also. Devon Achane could be a great punt returner, a kick returner also. He's just, listen, I just don't see it. I don't see how you move on from a kid that's 24 years old. Jay Ajayi was previously hurt. I appreciate you, Lewis. Anytime, though, brother. Anytime. I love to hear other people's opinions. I love to talk Dolphins football, and I love to hear your opinions. And maybe you can change my mind, but I'm telling you, it's hard pressed to change my mind on HN. It is. Make sure you hit that like button for me. I don't know how long this Fin Posse podcast is going to keep going if I don't get monetized, but hopefully we keep it moving. Hopefully they change their minds about the show. But yeah, I'm not moving on from HN unless you got to knock me. You got to knock me for a loop with the offer. It's got to be worth it to me. I got to be able to replace. I got to be able to replace the player. In a third round pick, I can't rely on that to find one of the top 10 playmakers in the NFL. And realistically, I think he's higher than that. I think he's higher than a top 10 playmaker. I think he's in that top 5 round. The amount of plays that he broke last year, the amount of long runs he broke last year behind a bad offensive line. What up, Cap?
Yo.
How you doing, brother?
Hey in there, man. How you been?
Oh, I'm all right. Living the life.
That's what's up, man. That's the life we live. This is the life we chose right now, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is the life HA chose too, bro. Because I mean, if he knows he wants to be a leader, and this is the year to be the leader, bro. If you really want to be here, bro, and I've said this before, and it just seems like it's repeated history all over again with these running backs, bro. You can't let them dictate the market, bro, because it's just going to get, to the point now where if the cap's going to go up, how is that going to do us any favors right now? You know what I mean? Like, if he wants to take a team-friendly deal, by all means, do it, because you are under contract. We don't really need to do it by obligation and by what we've been preaching. It's like, he's not a mercenary per se because this is his first contract. I get it. But, I mean, if you know the situation we're in right now, it's like, we're paying you for what? For 4.5? We need to at least get, 6 or 7 with that. And if we're saying 6 or 7, everybody's saying we don't want to get 6 or 7. So it's like, where do we stand? Do we want to win, or do we just want to surprise guys and please them and make sure they get taken care of, but we're not getting nothing in return? I thought we broke that monotony.
Yeah, I mean, I think HN could step up. I think we would get him cheaper this year just strictly because we don't have to give him the new deal. I don't think he thinks he's more valuable than a Jonathan Taylor or a Saquon Barkley or a
he's up there.
A Christian McCaffrey. Oh yeah, I agree, but I don't think he's going to ask. I don't think he's looking to break the bank. He knows that if he goes into this year, there's always that chance of injury, and he going to take that money. He going to take that money. Now, if it was next year, he going to go for as much as he can get. But a year early to get that guaranteed money to solidify his family's future, he going to take a lower cap hit.
I mean, you would think, but if it doesn't go the way you're saying and what we think should go that way, I mean, then you're going to know where we stand. And do you think that's, right for a new front office to deal with? Because we already, look, I think Hafley made it specifically clear they want to establish the run. So that right there is leverage for him. But at the same time, we can draft running backs in the 3rd round. We've done that already. We've seen that.
Yeah, but which one of the? I mean, besides obviously HN was a 3rd rounder, right?
I think it was a 2nd, but I think Bright and Ollie were 3rds, if I'm not mistaken.
But I mean, Ollie was like a 5th, I think. But neither one of those players are HN, though. You know what I mean? Like, so you're not just. I mean, we're getting production out of HN. Like, Detroit's getting out of Gibbs, and he was a top 10 pick. You know what I mean? Like, we hit a home run with Achane. And I just think at 24 years old,
I want him here. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. We all want him here. But the body language we're hearing and all these quotes we're hearing about show me the money again with that same nonsense, what do you think they're trying to do? Give us a team-friendly deal?
I mean, I think he's just excited. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that kid's a bad kid. I think he's a leader. Like, from the things I hear,
yeah, we're hoping.
I've heard.
We're hoping.
Yeah,
but if he doesn't want to lead here, what's our contingency plan?
Listen, if the kid, obviously, if he wants $25 million to reset the market and he's just being selfish, obviously that changes things. But I don't think that's who this kid is. I think he would sign for a decent contract. I think we'd be able to get him for a decent value. And I think he's worth it. The salary cap's definitely going to go up. In the next couple of years, Netflix is going to be, there's going to be contract negotiations for those 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games, and Netflix wants in. So there's going to be a bidding war with, right? Yeah, there's going to be bidding wars with ABC, NBC, CBS for those 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games, and the salary cap's going to go up huge. So these contracts that people are going to be signing, they're going to look real good in 2 years. You know what I mean? The contract, the salary cap's going to go way up. And I think that if you sign HN this year to a multi-year contract extension, you still can get out the contract when he's 28 years old and possibly trade him then for some value. You know what I mean? But at 24, I don't think you can move off from the kid. What's up? Only the real survive.
What up? What up?
Cat, what's good, man?
What up, Cap?
Chilling, homie, chilling.
Have you guys heard from Glenn?
Not in a minute.
I ain't seen Glenn in a while. Yeah, I ain't seen Glenn in a while.
He probably on vacation.
Probably.
I haven't seen Glenn nowhere. So what's on your mind?
I'm just loving how this offseason going right now. You know, I'm just loving it. Yeah, I'm just loving it. Like, I mean, and you know what? As much as I don't like Tua, hey, I say forget everything and let's stick with him.
Bro, look, at this point, what everybody's saying about a top flight quarterback, look, I have no problem with that, bro. And I love the fact that they're being so transparent. I've heard more from this front office the past 2 months than I've heard from Greer the past 2 years. So if they're saying they're willing to do all this stuff to benefit the team and Tua's willing to do it, I mean, bro, as long as he's willing to take the hit for the team, take one for the team, and just let's see what we got at competition, then you can't ask for anything more than that, bro. And we get money on top of that too to make moves. And then that's the ironic part right there. And this is what kind of like makes me a little bit irritated. So if Tua decides to take a backup role and we get the cap relief, then what? What are we gonna do with that money? Roll it over for next year or try to compete?
Roll it over. You know what I'm saying? My whole perspective in keeping Tua right now is go ahead and roll with him so everybody can see how his skills has really diminished, and we could be sitting at the top with, you know, a sorry record, and everybody will see that, you know, Tua is done. You know, like, I mean, what is it gonna hurt really? Because either way it go, we're gonna have a down year.
What up, Lou?
Big C, Kenna.
What up, Lou? What up, Lou?
For life. What's good with y'all boys, man?
Should man, get it.
How you doing?
Look, what do you think? We're taking, we keeping these guys. We overpaying. What are we gonna do?
Well, we're tanking, and whether we keep these guys or not, this team is not going to be good. I agree with Big C. I think it was a downgrade going from McDaniel to Jeff Hafley. Jeff Hafley is not a good coach. We can pretend like he is. He's not. I'm willing to trade everybody. The only reason I'm up here is the conversation with, and I think it's a good one that needs to be had in the community, right? A lot of people, they shy away from these conversations. So Big C, salute to you. The reason I would trade Achane though is he gets you the most value for your or the bang for your buck, right? If you listen to Sully, and one of the things that people always say about Sully coming from Green Bay, it's his eye for talent. He's supposed to be a guru. Now, this is what they say. I'm not saying that this is true, But what they say is his itch is drafting, finding talent. Well, okay, well, cool. Go get assets and let this guy go. Like, think about it. Last year at the trade deadline, we knew that there was an offer for Jalen Waddle for a first round pick in 2027 and a third round pick in 2026. Now imagine going into this draft
Should have took
with
that. Should have took
Yeah,
that.
took that, bro.
Big C. You could have had 4 third round picks this season and 2 first round picks in 2027. That sounds like an ideal situation to me. If A Chain comes now again, Big C, I want to preface by saying I'm not trading A Chain for a 5th round pick, right? But if someone came calling for, let's say, like Christian McCaffrey type deal, I just want to point out Christian McCaffrey got traded for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th in one round in one draft, and a 5th round in the next year's draft. You mean to tell me if someone came calling for that? Because listen, I love A Chain, right? I love A Chain, but he wasn't better than Christian McCaffrey was his first 3 years in the league. If you put their
No,
numbers
but
side by side,
a 2nd, 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th the next year, like I can understand that, but they're talking about just strictly a 3rd round pick, and I can't see.
oh no,
that.
I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. No.
And Sully's such a great like I just don't get people.
I
Like, they
mean,
look at the Green Bay Packers and look at their success.
But
What talent is on the Green Bay Packers that blows you away?
But off of what Lou just said about Sully, if he has an eye for talent like that, he could turn A Chain into a position of need with a player that could be, valuable. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Well,
could be a trade-off situation if
well,
his
well,
eye
the
for talent
Contract
that
and a
good.
draft pick, like a contract and a draft pick.
the thing for me with A Chain, right? If you look at, I'm not saying he can't fit the scheme because a lot of this is going to be based on virtually what we've been running. Bobby Slowick, I mean, basically came out and said that there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to keep in place. So I don't want to say A Chain don't fit the bill, but if you look at Green Bay throughout the history of their organization, right? They've had these backs that are 200 plus pounds. I think the smallest one when we did our research was Josh Jacobs, and he's like 210, right? A Chain's 195. And I think when we looked it up, Josh Jacobs in the last 2 years has over 600 carries in
Yeah,
Green Bay. Over
yeah,
600 carries.
he's been holding it down.
A Chain in Miami, receiving and rushing don't add up to 600 touches. So what I'm saying is, if you're telling me now that we're paying a running back upwards of 14, 15, hell, $16 million, your production has to go up, right? I can't give you 14, 15, $16 million for the same production you've been giving me. I expect more. And I guess I'll throw it to you, Big C. The question I have for you: if we give him a 3 or 4 year deal, do you think A Chain is the kind of running back that can take that kind of punishment, like a Jonathan Taylor, like a Saquon Barkley, like again, if those carries start going up to 350, almost 400 touches a season, do you think by year 2 of that contract, year 3 of that contract, he's still the same player?
I think if you improve the offensive line, I think that Achane can match the production without matching the amount of carries because he has such big play ability. He doesn't have to take the punishment. He doesn't have to have 25 carries to get you 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. He can do that on 15 touches, especially with an improved offensive line. So, I mean, look at it. Maybe Jacobs had 600 carries, but how much is the production off? As far as yardage, total yards and touchdowns, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like what we are completely missing is the aspect of football right now. See, at the running back position, yes, Jacob carries was that high, but do we not still is 2 and 3 yards when a running back carry the ball, is that such a bad thing? Like when you think about the offense and keeping the offense moving, 2 and 3 yards is not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of what Jacob is doing, yeah, he might not have a big playability, or a back of Jacob's caliber might not have big playability or might not get just as much production in half the carries, but you still getting all of that production when it comes to those 600 carries. Because how many times have we wish we could sneak Tua in for a yard or two?
No, yeah, I guarantee you, out of those 600, I mean, like more than half of it is in the red zone because
Exactly.
he'll get
How
in the
many
red
how
zone.
many first down conversions is there? How many, you know what I'm saying, conversions is there that like
Absolutely.
that stuff like that is way more valuable than a back that can just give you a home run hit with 15 carries. You know what I'm saying? Because what happens to other 15 carries?
Listen, timeout, timeout. So you're saying that you'd rather have a running back get 110 yards off 30 carries than 110 yards off 15 carries? I
No,
mean,
what I'm
that doesn't
saying
make
is,
sense.
I
Oh,
would
red
rather
zone.
have a back. I would rather have a back who can give me that when I need it, and also be able to do those home runs. Like Jonathan Taylor can give you those 1 or 2 yards on top of hitting those home runs.
So let me ask you this: would you want 80 yards of production to the point where the running back gets you to the red zone and let the coach take over with a passing player? Or would you want a running back that can get you past the 20 into the red zone?
I mean, I think Achan can do all those things.
But what would you prefer? The
You
long
Me,
route or the easy route?
in a perfect route, you would want just the points. I could care less if it's a passing play or running play. I just want to score points. And to Big C's point, I think A Chain. See, again, when I say trade A Chain, I'm not trying to take nothing away from his ability. I think to Big C's point, and I agree, he's a top 10 player at any position in this league. He's one of the most explosive players in this league. I'm just going by the timeline of what I feel this current Dolphin thing is. Like, everybody always wanted this change. Cap for Life, you know this. I was always fighting against the change. But now that we got the change, like, why are we like so hesitant to like go all in for the change? Like, we got to
Yeah.
understand this is going to be a complete rebuild teardown. The reason you went and
It
got
is.
a guy like Sully and Halfley is to let them kind of create, whether I agree with it, Big C agrees with it, any of us agree with it, right? We This ain't none of their guys. If you're gonna tear this thing down, if you now again, it all I'm not giving players away, but if you're I at least got to answer the phone. Like, I hear people say, well, they're not even answering the phone for A Chain. Well, no,
See, you'll be a fool
I'm not
not
doing
to.
that.
Bro, do you understand that where they're at right now? This is the combine where they're at right now, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the time of year where this is open for business for all GMs. This is exactly what they do.
Oh,
Everybody's
absolutely,
talking business right now.
Yeah. I'm
absolutely.
just saying, what if
You
you could
you
take
just got
A
to go.
Chain? What if you could take A Chain and turn him into two solid offensive linemen? Would that satisfy anybody appetite? Because if you could do that, you already done filled two holes off of one player.
But
In
that's
a
not
perfect
guaranteed.
world.
Achan showed you what he is. You trade Achan for any amount of draft picks you want. Those draft picks aren't guaranteed. Achan showed us what he is.
Right, but
Well,
we're not
A
winning
Chain showed
anything
us.
with him at this point, though.
But A Chain to the Big C. The only thing I would say, A Chain showed us what he is in Mike McDaniel's offense.
That's
We
true.
don't know what A Chain is under Bobby Slowick or what this current regime's vision is for him. Like, again, I don't like us being considered or called the Green Bay Packer or the Miami Dolphins Packer South or however you want to call it. But that's what it looks like it is. A
South
lot of
Pack.
these players, a lot of these players that we have currently on this roster don't fit the bill of what Green Bay's players look like or how they play. Like, it doesn't fit. And I'm not in the
Wh-
mode of holding on to players just because I love the certain players. Again,
Well,
it's always about the logo for me. It's not about the name on the back of the jersey. It's that logo on the helmet.
Yeah,
isn't the offense? Isn't the
McDaniel had the
offense
zone run blocking scheme. You know what I'm saying? Zone run blocking scheme. This is supposed to be a Shanahan type of scheme with Slowick.
right?
And
That's what I was about to say. Isn't like Slowick has ran? We've seen his Slowick offense with CJ Stroud rookie year, right? With Joe Mixon. I mean, so A Chain would fit. Like Slowick would be able to use A Chain. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. He would, because what CJ Stroud was able to do his rookie year was the same offense that we're probably going to see over here.
Again, though, Kenna, what I'm saying is to what you're saying, and this is the point I'm trying to make. We got to get out of the mode of does A Chain fit the system? We already got past that. We know he does. But Joe Mixon is 200 and I'm looking at it now, 216 pounds. A-Chain is
Facts.
195.
Facts. I mean, now,
You see what I'm saying? Like
but see, that's
again,
just what I brought up about Jonathan Taylor too. We need a running back that can do both. We need both. It ain't no one or the other.
you got Ollie Gordon, right? And you got him cheap for the next 3 years. You got Jalen Wright on a cheap deal for the next 2 years. At the end of the day, bro, listen, I'm not trying to devalue A-Chain at all. But running backs in this league are a dime a dozen. It just is what it is. And when we're talking about 14, 15, 16 million dollars, again, if you make that move, A-Chain, you got to be able to carry the load like some of those running backs that is getting that kind of money. You got to be able to do that as well. I can't give you that kind of money for the production you've given me because let's be fair. A-Chain's only had 1,000-yard season, and that was this one. He has injury. He got injured as a rookie. I think his second season was, for the most part, pretty much healthy. I'm just saying, I don't know if he can carry that. Can he go from a 15-carry guy to a 22-carry guy? Because when you say it like that, it sounds minimal. But when you add it up through a 17-game season, now you start. It's an extra 100-some carries, and now I don't know if you can, if that's the right, I'm just saying, bro. You got to blow me away. But if I get a Christian McCaffrey package, if it's a second, third, and a fourth, and then I'm sorry, A-Chain, you got to go, dog.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'm taking that. Like I said, hey, if A-Chain, I mean, I don't mean to say this to be mean or anything, but with this new regime coming over, if A-Chain is not on the table for you as a fan right now, looking at the future of this team, I don't know what mode you're stuck in. You know what I'm saying? Like like we're gonna great players gonna continue to come. You know what I'm saying?
That's
We
a
just got to
fact.
get this thing rolling correctly.
Hey, man. Listen, y'all boys be good. Big C, appreciate the link, man. I'm going to get back to work. I just wanted to hop in because I knew you dropped the link and stuff. So appreciate you, sir.
I appreciate you too. One thing I want to address real quick is we're talking about that 300 carry mark. Can A-Chan handle it? He had 238 carries last year.
Mm-hmm.
To get the 300 carries, that's only an extra 4 carries a game. Do I think A-Chan can handle that? Absolutely. It's only an extra 4 carries a game to get the 300 carries. He can handle an extra 4 carries.
And now if you add, so I'm glad you brought that up. So, and I'm going to get off and I'll just listen to what y'all say, Big C. So let's say it goes up to 300 carries, but now you're adding on, because he's a big part of the offense in the passing game as well. So if we now get him to 300 plus carries, but now he's up to another 50, 60 catches, right? That again, that adds up. Now you're looking at 300 and let's say 60 plus touches for him. And the more you touch the ball, the more you get hit in this league. So again, going from 200 and something to let's say 360, can he carry it? Can he carry that load for the duration, a Big C, of like a 3-4 year contract?
He's already to the 300 with the catches. So we're only going from 300 to, again, it's only 4 extra carries a game. So it's an extra 70 carries a season, 4 carries a game. That's with his catches. So he's touching the ball over 300 times a year already. So we're only adding 4 carries a game. I mean,
right, but that's what I'm saying. Let's say he's already at 300 touches, but now you add 4, let's say 5 more times 17. That's an extra 60. So don't stay in the mindset of only 4 carries a game. Look at the end result of another 70, 80 hits that he's taking per season. You see what I'm
about to say, because those carries could mean like, okay, we need to run 2 yards, and he plow up in there and take a big hit. You know what I'm saying? We could take one big hit. We could take like 3 carries away from that right there. You know what I mean?
I mean that's true. Any hit can knock you out. You know what I mean? Whether you have 10 carry, obviously it ups the amount of hits you take. But I ain't
trying to say he's not tough or nothing. I ain't trying to say that, because everybody did see him get folded like a lawn chair and get right the fuck back up. Excuse my friend.
Yeah, no, it's not even. Yeah, look, we're not questioning that, but we did draft Ollie for one sole purpose, because we were having problems getting past the 5.
Well, a lot of that's the offensive line and Mike McDaniel's offensive lineman preference. We went for smaller guards that were more athletic, that could get out in space rather
So,
than big,
so do you put
big
any stock into what Cheetah
short
said?
yardage linemen. You know what I mean?
Do you put any stock into what Cheetah said about, not being a power back?
I mean, I think Achane showed that he can run between the tackles this year. I do think he did that. Do I think he's obviously not the bulldozer, but that's what you have a second string running back for. That's why, even in Seattle, they won a Super Bowl this year. You had Zach Cabernet as your bruising running back, and Kenneth Walker is your more every down back. You know what I mean? That's why you have a guy for a certain skill position. If you need 2 yards, you have a guy that you can bring in and that can get you 2 fucking yards. But you don't move on from Achane to
So you paying Achane 13 mil a year to split carries.
Absolutely, not split.
Yeah,
not split.
you get my point,
far. Not split.
But you get my point. Like, you're asking to have a pay increase, but when it gets to the red zone, you can't punch it in unless we're throwing you the ball.
But again, give him the proper offensive line to run the ball in the red zone.
I mean, it ain't even necessarily red zone status. We could need this first down.
Goal line. Every time
that's
we goal line,
it can't. Like, that's what I'm saying, Cap. It cannot even be goal line. We could be on the 30-yard line, and we need this first down to keep the drive going.
When teams know that we're running the football because we have an undersized offensive line, yes, it's difficult for us to pick that up. I think it would be difficult for. I think it'd be difficult for a lot of even bigger backs to pick that up, because when we know our offensive line's getting bullied up front because they're undersized linemen. They're getting bullied.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna disagree with that.
I think it has more to do with the running back, the line, than does the running back. You guys keep talking for a minute. I got to step away for a second. Keep the show going. All right.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know, Cap. I mean, I'm on a side of, shit. If we can get something good for Achane, hey.
Look,
nice knowing you, bro.
Trust me. Look, I've been listening to everybody the past month, and I want to win, bro. I want to win, but if you're telling me that we're getting projected to have 4.5 wins, and you're telling me Achane can't make a production of 4 more wins on top of that 4.5, then what's the point of doing anything now? Because if I'm going to pay you, it's going to be for us to, try to do something. I get what everybody wants to do, and we want to get the draft picks, but if we're going to do that, then we blow it up. Get more draft capital. Why settle for the capital we got now if we're really truly going to blow it up?
I mean, that's what it sounds like to me in his interview.
Achane, bro. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about that kid Love.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what it's been sounding like to me. When I saw them interviews at the draft combine and whatnot, like, they, hey, everything is on the table for everybody.
Okay, let me ask you this: why did McDaniel draft 3 running backs 3 years in a row? That's the one thing I'll give McDaniel. Why did he do that?
Why? I mean, I feel like because that's what runs his offense. The same way it's going to run Slowick offense.
Yeah, and if he knows that he's going to be doing that, it's a high possibility that one of them is going to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? So he went and said to himself, damn, I like this guy, but he's, he might get hurt. That probably went through his head if he got 2 other running backs back to back.
That could be true too.
So I'm saying, like, it could be to the point where, yeah, we want him to bulk up, but I think he bulked up already 10 pounds in the offseason to be where he's at now. If he bulks up even more, then the production is going to go down.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to get up off.
He's probably at 190. They say 185. If he bulks up another 10, if he hits that 200, I don't think he's going to have the same production, breakaway speed.
Who, Achane?
Yeah, if he bulks up from...
I'm about to get up out of here. Hey, nice chatting with you guys,
I appreciate you, brother.
Right,
Thank you. Yeah, I think if he bulks up, he'll be fine. Like even I don't think he needs to though. I think he showed he can run between the trenches, in the trenches.
That's what I'm
I think
saying.
that
But if he stays at that weight, then you know what comes with that. Because he's more
yeah,
elusive.
I mean, if he adds 5 pounds of muscle, I think he'll be all right. But that's what you add a bigger bag for. That's what Ollie Gordon's supposed to be on the team for. But I think if you get bigger physical or offensive linemen, I think you'll notice that we're able to move the pile and pick up those 1-2 yards when we need them. I think any running back's gonna struggle if you're not getting the push up front.
It's like Joe says in the chat. If the same argument as Tyreek, if we don't have the surrounding talent, what's the point?
Yeah,
And look, and I'm the guy saying I want to compete, but if everybody's telling me let's just do it to get the draft capital and go after the quarterback we want, then do it right.
Yeah, I don't see a world where we can compete this year. I just don't see it. There's too many
So then
holes.
why not just? That's what I'm saying. Like if Sully did what he did yesterday, bro, it's pretty much like a hey, we're open for business type of deal, bro. Like, you know, everybody's going to be asking. You know, that's going to be asked. Try to get the most bang for your buck, bro, if you really want to build this right.
Yeah, I'm just super skeptical of this whole regime. Like I can't lie. This is the least excited I've been about a Dolphins season in a long time. And it's not because we're going into the year not expecting to win a lot of football games, but I just don't trust the process like I have. Like when Mike McDaniel was hired, I was excited. You know, you had a young offensive coach that, you know, we had Tua untapped potential. I just don't look at the Green Bay Packers and look at that franchise and look how they're built and look at the players that they have over there and get excited. Like what players on, and not that the Packers are a bad football team, because they're a good football team. They've been good for a lot of years, but I think it's more because of the quarterback, the person they've had under center more than anything else. If I look at the Green Bay Packers, what draft picks have they drafted that blow you out of the water? What receivers have they had that blow you out of the water? It's just because you've had such great quarterback play that you knew that they were going to be good, and you can't guarantee a top 10 quarterback of all time.
Look, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that the wide receivers didn't do anything, that it was all the quarterback. And that's if that's the point, then that's what we want, because we want them to find a quarterback.
Yeah, but them guys didn't necessarily find that quarterback. They didn't find Aaron Rodgers. They didn't find Brett Favre.
They didn't find Jordan Love?
I mean, Jordan Love's not at the same caliber.
So the guy that's about to get paid in free agency, they didn't draft or trade for him?
I mean, Malik Willis, I'm not sold on Malik Willis.
But I'm just saying, like, in
he's
general.
had 6 games.
But but what you're saying is that the production was based off the quarterback, not the receivers.
I think a lot of their wins and losses and a lot of that team's success was based off the quarterbacks. That's what I'm saying.
And they help, I think they help find and pretty much produce,
Well, I mean, Halfley had nothing to do with it, and Sully, you can debate how much he had to do with it. Drafting Aaron Rodgers, he had nothing to do with Brett Favre, obviously.
But Jordan Love?
I mean, yeah, Jordan Love, I'm sure he had a say. But again, when you get guys that have never been general managers before, they've only been assistants. I mean, obviously they've never made the pick. You know what I mean? They've never been the guy that was in control of an NFL draft. So who's to say whether he liked Jordan Love coming out? Who's to say whether he would have drafted Jordan Love? You know what I mean? You can't give him credit for Jordan Love because he didn't make the selection.
All I know, if he was head of scouting, then he was pretty much involved with Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, he might have scouted him. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't want to give him no credit because I don't know who he liked or who he wanted to draft that draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but my point is, if he's willing to do that to make the receivers look good, because at the end of the day, Christian Watson, who was Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Golden, who they drafted too. I mean, their tight end that they got, Kraft. You know, they got who else? Musgrave.
None of those guys
mean-
are elite players, though.
I know, but what my point is, you don't have to be elite like the Patriots did. You know what I'm saying? As long as you have a supporting cast, and it's about the quarterback. Green Bay helped produce and you know, develop quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
mean,
want that?
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. Joe says Achan's not elite. I don't. What's elite then? If Achan's not elite, what's elite?
He's gonna tell you Bijan.
I mean, I'm not saying Bijan's not an elite player, but I don't
And that's
know how
another thing
divine.
too. That's another thing too. If Bijan decides to take a pay hit and get paid now, is he supposed to get paid this year?
Oh,
Bijan Robinson.
I think he's got one more year.
I think he's supposed to get paid, bro. And if he sets the market, then what do you think's gonna, you know, A-Chain's gonna want to do?
I mean, I don't think that. I think Achan's cool with getting I think Achan's cool being a top 5, top 6 paid running back. I don't think Achan needs to be the number 1 running back paid. I don't think that.
I agree. I agree, but by the body language that they're displaying, they want that top 10, top 5. You know,
Yeah, top
past
10,
top 10, they
sure.
want that top 5.
Top 10, but I don't think that he's gonna. You know, I've heard Achan talk about Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey. I've
Name
heard
me
him
the top
talk
5 running backs right now.
top 5 running backs in the NFL right now. I'd
Right
say, in not any type of order, Gibbs,
Bijan.
Bijan, I'd say Achan, Christian
Taylor.
McCaffrey, and Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, you could debate Williams from the Rams, but yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, you got James
Barkley,
Cook.
Barkley had a down year.
You got Derrick Henry still, who's elite. You know what I mean? You got a lot of those. Jarvis Landry, I don't think you can put Jarvis Landry and Devon Achan in the same situation. And high volume, 238 carries is high volume. I mean, you cannot like Devon Achan. You cannot think he's elite, but I mean, I don't see how you get that. Behind a bad offensive line. We forget that offensive line is a bad offensive line.
So we're in agreement that, you know, out of these two, Waddle would be more of a trade scenario.
100%. 100%. I would have traded Waddle last year. And even though it would have been to the Bills, the fact that you were able to get a first and a third for him, it would have been too good to pass up.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get the same value now.
I would have sent him to Buffalo because
yesterday's price is not today's price.
I honestly don't think he would have took Buffalo I don't think he would have took Buffalo over that hill. I don't think he's that type of player.
I don't know, man. If I had to vision that last catch that Brandon Cooks made, that would be Waddle. And just think about it. It would have been the same scenario, knowing who you know about Waddle. Would he held onto the ball, or would it have been the same thing?
I mean, I just don't see him as an elite player. Joe, HM averaged 5.7 yards a carry or some shit like that, which is absolutely phenomenal. Like he didn't have all the yards because he had high volume. 5.7 yards a carry, 238 carries, 1,350 yards. That's absolutely phenomenal.
But to be fair, that was on McDaniel shutting him down too in the fourth.
That's crazy good production. That's not, you act like he had 300 carries and 900 yards rushing. No, like the guy averaged 5.7 yards a carry. I mean, he is elite. He's an elite playmaker at the very least.
Okay, so Miller has a point here. Okay, you mentioned Gibbs, you mentioned Bijan, you mentioned we mentioned JT. So he has A-Chain over JT, and he replaces Jacobs. So he's got Josh Jacobs, JT, A-Chain, Gibbs.
Well, Josh Jacobs, I'm definitely not putting above Jonathan Taylor. I think Josh Jacobs isn't above Jonathan Taylor whatsoever.
Are those two above A-Chain?
I mean, you possibly as running backs, possibly. I'm talking. A-Chan is an elite playmaker more than he is an elite running back, if that makes sense. I think he's an elite playmaker where you get the ball in his hands doing a multitude of different things. And
so I don't understand how people say third rounder. We can get a first or a second for sure. I mean, a first, a late first.
He's not a gadget. He rushed the ball 238 times. A gadget player would have 150 carries. You know what I mean? Only in there on gadget play. A-Chan can run between the tackles. He showed it last year numerous times. Like, he can run between the tackles. I'm telling you, get him an offensive line, a traditional offensive line, not this zone scheme running where you go with a bunch of undersized. You know, that's why I don't know if Brewer's a fit with this current regime, because Brewer's an undersized center. He's not a big, strong, physical center. He's an undersized athletic center.
So what's up with him? Does he have the option to what? He's a free agent? Is he? What's his situation? Is he gonna have to want to leave too?
He wants a contract extension. He's kind of in the same boat as like A-Chan. You know what I mean? They're a year out.
Get out of here, bro. Come on. You get what I'm saying now? One guy's going to be arguing, saying, oh, he can't get the holes because I'm the one opening them. And the other guy's going to say he can't make the holes because I'm the one creating the runs. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like, the agents are going to be doing this game, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's the game they play. I'm keeping A-Chan over Brewer.
Okay, so if that's the case, then, I mean,
then you got Jordan Brooks is up for a contract. Well, he's not up for a contract, but they want to extend him.
Okay, so you rather have a rookie center?
I'd rather have a big physical center. If that's the way they're going to go.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it right, it would be a rookie quarterback and a rookie center, working together and growing together. So, I mean, I wouldn't be mad with that either.
Like, I mean, if you change it up.
Who is it that they did that with? I forgot who. Oh, it was Samson Satelli and somebody else. I forgot who it was. But you get my point. Pouncey and Tannehill.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just, if you're going to change up what the offensive line is going to be, if you're going to go a bigger, more physical offensive line, then obviously you got to replace the center position. And I think Brewer is great for what he does. If Brewer was great in a Mike McDaniel system, but if you're running a different system, if you're running a different type of offensive line, you got to move on from Brewer.
I mean, he was serviceable. He did good.
He was fantastic for the offensive line McDaniel wants to run. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's what Slowick's going to run. That's what the Dolphins are going to run now. If they're going to go with a more physical offensive line, he doesn't fit that bill.
Yeah, more stationary guys we need.
He's great at getting to that second level and making that second block. You know what I mean? Down the field. He's great on swinging out to the outside, and you know what I mean? He's great at that stuff because he's super athletic. But as far as
we don't know if we're going to be asking them to do that.
As far as getting push up the front when you got a nose tackle over top of you, he's going to get bullied. Yeah, Joe, I'll throw the link out for you real quick. I ain't got a lot much longer, but I'll throw the link out for you, brother.
What time is it? 11:45.
Yeah, we've been here for a minute. We'll let Joe get up on here and say his sense. Tell us how come A-Chan's not elite and how he'd rather have every other running back in the NFL. But it's all right. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody can fan the way they want to fan. You know what I mean? And I respect everybody's opinion. I might not agree with it, but I respect
So do you
it. You know what I
let
mean?
me ask you this. Do you think that they give him the contract talk or negotiations before or after the draft?
I mean, I would say probably before the draft they try to figure something out. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Big C? What's up, Cat for Life?
Joe?
What have y'all done to the word elite?
I mean,
Right?
top 5 is elite, right? Top 5 is elite. Top 10 is what?
Achan is a great running back. He's a great running back. Elite? I'm not
Elite,
crossing
great,
that
good.
line. I'm
So
not
it's elite?
crossing that line of elite until he repeats a season like he just had. If he does that again, sure, let's start talking about elite. But right now, he is a great running back. I'm not prepared to put him in the same conversation as Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley, the guys that have done it year in, year out. Year in, year out. And you can rely on them in any down, any yardage. Are we relying on Achan on 3rd and short or 3rd and goal? Are we running up the gut with Achan?
Listen, we just had that conversation though. What did Saquon Barkley do with the New York Giants in them situations where he didn't have an offensive line?
He was still great.
Was he? Go back and look at the stats.
What do you mean? What did Saquon Barkley do? Saquon was a household name before he went to the Eagles.
Saquon was a household name before he was even drafted.
He
had a great rookie year. Great rookie year. After that, Saquon was.
I think you're describing the saga. You're describing the saga of the Cowboys running back that came in at the same time.
Often injured. I know. Listen, I know Saquon Barkley. Often injured. Great rookie year. Great rookie year. Often injured. Ran right up the middle. Stuffed. Wasn't able to do nothing. The Miami Dolphins actually could have traded for Saquon Barkley for a 5th round draft pick. They should have pulled the trigger on that at one point, the year before he moved on to the Eagles. Last year, phenomenal year, but the Eagles had one of the top offensive lines in all of football. If you don't have an offensive line, you're going to struggle to run the ball in short yardage situations. When the other team knows you're going to run the ball, if you can't get that push up front, I don't care if you have Barry Sanders in the backfield. If you're getting dominated up front and the other team knows that you're running the football, you're going to struggle to gain 1-2 yards. It could be 2 inches. It doesn't matter. You're not getting the push up front.
We just saw his first 1,000-yard season, right? We just saw it. So what I'm saying is it is early to give Devon Achan the elite title. It is very early. He's done it once, right? There's guys that have been doing this year in, year out.
You're absolutely correct about that. And what I'm saying is that he's an elite playmaker in this league. He showed that he's an elite playmaker, that he's dynamic, that even his rookie year,
going to roll with, right? Like,
I mean, I think he's shown you enough that, you know what I mean? Of course, I think he's deserving of a new contract.
A lot of people say we're just going to copy and paste that offense from before and just run it back again with basically the same offense. I don't think that's the case. I don't think just because Slowick has become our OC instead of bringing someone else in, I don't think that means that we run it back with the same exact game plan, same exact offense. In fact, I think it's likely that Achan does get traded before he starts demanding more money from us. And I think that they look at this and say, hey, we can flip Achan for probably 2 players that we can start, right? They can draft, get a first and a 3rd round or something.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to be a pick. You're right. It could be player contracts.
But see, they're not talking about it. What I've heard is the best you're going to get for Achan is a 3rd round draft pick. If
but
that's
he's elite. How is that the best we can get for an elite back?
Because running backs are devalued.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point.
If he's so elite, why is his trade value so low? I get the position, right? Running backs have a short shelf life, and they kind of are a dime a dozen with the youth, right? Each draft, there's a lot of good running backs that come in.
bro, the person you was just talking about, elite Saquon Barkley, could have been had for a 5th, 6th round draft pick. The year before he went to the Eagles, could have been had. What's that?
What did he go to the Eagles for, though?
He was a free agent.
Oh, that's right.
The year before he became a free agent, they was trying to move him. And I was banging the table for us to send that 5th, 6th round draft pick.
But
Yeah,
I don't think
he was having a hard
why
time
wouldn't
finding
they
a
have
team.
done that? Why didn't they do that trade? That's too low of an offer.
Because they knew that he was going to want a new contract, and up to that point, Saquon has been often injured, and he never duplicated that rookie season. His rookie season with the Giants, if you go look at it, he was dynamic. I think he had 100 catches his rookie year.
Yeah,
like he was dynamic, but after that, he dealt with constant injuries, and the production just didn't match because the offensive line for the Giants was just so poor. But he was coming into a year that he was going to have to get paid. You know, nobody wanted to guarantee money to someone that they just didn't know what type of player he was still. And it turns out you give him a good offensive line, he runs for 2,000 yards. So, I mean, but that offensive line makes a difference. It's a huge game changer as far as running when the other team knows you're going to run the football.
Look what we did with Mostert that a few years ago when we had our offensive line was sick.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like I really do, and people harp on me all the time, and they're like, everybody deals with injuries. I really think we missed our Super Bowl window. I think that 2023 season, we had the team to, and even Teron Armstead's like, listen, you know, I know he was on that team, so his opinion, you know, you could take it for what it is, but that team was good enough to win a Super Bowl championship. We just got devastated by injuries, bro.
I don't know, man. I after watching so many seasons of Tua, he has a fatal issue, and that's winning in big games. He just does not win in big games, and you have to win big games to make it to the Super Bowl.
And you're right, Tua has fucked up in big games. But if you go and look at some of those big games, you know, against the Eagles in primetime football, first off, the refs didn't call. If you guys remember that game primetime against the Eagles in 23, the Eagles didn't have one penalty called against them in the whole game. One penalty.
I was in Columbia for that. I didn't watch it.
I
watched some of it.
If you can find the highlights for that game, there was a clear interception in the red zone, a pass interference, and they did not call it. Not one penalty against the Eagles the whole game. Tyreek Hill had a drop touchdown. Multiple things happened in that game where we had a chance to win. Kansas City, obviously, that was a Tyreek game that he pretty much lost that game for us too. It's not just Tua. Tua did fuck up in big-time situations. Don't get me wrong, but that 23 team, I think we were good enough to – we definitely should have won the division. We should have had a home playoff game. And, you know, that offense was explosive when we were healthy. The defense was beat up. We were just – oh, man. I'd just like to see what we could have done healthy. And now we're in a position that I don't trust these new guys. I don't trust the general manager. I don't trust that coach. I don't think that they've shown enough in this league to warrant the amount of power that we've given them. And I'm not confident that they're the right people for the job.
Well, I do think we have a lot of retooling to do, especially on this defense, right? If we're switching schemes on defense, there's a lot that we have to solve at that defensive end spot. Right.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
we can't go with like the traditional edge rushers like we had in the past. And if you think about it, we lost Chubb and Phillips, right? That was our identity on the edge for a few years now.
Let me ask you this, Big C. If you had a choice, would you have wanted to keep Chris Greer and move on with him doing a new salary cap all over and trusting him with that new rebuild?
No. I think we need to move on from Chris Greer 100%. I question whether we should have moved on from Mike McDaniel when we did. I think that this wasn't the time to move on from Mike McDaniel. We were one of the least desirable teams looking for a head coach. So what did you expect us to get? We never got an interview with John Harbaugh.
This is the part that I don't understand from fans, though, man. You know this was the price to pay when you vouched for the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
What's he supposed to do? And why wouldn't you vouch for him after the 23 season? We had one of the most explosive offenses in all of football.
I think you let the general manager do his job and you let the coach do his job. I think he, overstood his position.
I think he played Tua on the 5th too.
And listen, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with him taking the blame for that. And I'm cool with us even moving on from Mike McDaniel, but not when we did. If you wanted to move on from Mike McDaniel this year, you go and you make, what was our D coordinator's name again? Weaver. You make Anthony Weaver the head coach then. You knew this year was not going to be successful. You knew we were going to need a new head coach. You knew we were moving on from Tyreek. You knew we were moving on from Chubb. You knew we had massive holes on this team. Make Weaver the head coach.
Why?
For the simple fact, we have a losing season this year. You can easily move on from Weaver next year, and then you have a top draft pick to go out and get your quarterback, and then we're in an appealing position.
With that logic, you can still do it now too.
For a head coach, they're not going to move on from these guys. If we win 2 games, they're not moving on.
No, they have a grace period this year.
Exactly. That's what I don't get, bro. If I know that, you know that, these guys need to know they got a grace period. So whatever you guys want, it would probably happen after year 2.
This year's all about evaluating talent.
They do know that. They do know they got the grace year. But what if Andy Reid becomes available next year?
No, but what I'm saying is any coach you would have had now would have had a grace period regardless.
No, I don't think that's the case.
What?
Look.
I don't. First of all, I don't see a scenario where Andy Reid is available, but I get your point.
You never know. Look at.
If it's a proven coach, I get it. But remember, all these guys that got hired were brand new faces.
Well, think about it. McDermott's going to be available next year.
McDermott was available this year.
Well, he was.
Mike Tomlin became available.
What was the timing of that? I thought McDermott was let go after we had hired.
Same day.
Oh, jeez.
You should have. When McDermott became available, you should have said, "Hold on, Jeff."
Well, look, this is the reality.
Hold on, hold on, Jeff.
You're like, hey, never mind.
This is the reality, though. All those guys you just mentioned, we wanted, but they didn't want to come here. That's the difference.
And but that's my point. We went looking for a head coach when we were undesirable to a head coach.
Okay, so that's not their fault. You're gonna blame them for that?
Blame who?
You're gonna blame Hafley and Sully for that?
No, I'm blaming the front office. I'm blaming the ownership.
Ross,
we shouldn't have went looking for a coach this year. That's why I said you promote Weaver if you want to move on from McDaniel.
I was pretty tired of McDaniel.
Yeah, bro. Okay. I don't understand how you feel he was going to survive another year with the same crap. If you're gonna give a free pass to any coach, what makes you think McDaniel being on the hot seat is going to get another free year to not do anything again?
I'm not asking. You're not hearing me.
I'm hearing you, but what I'm saying is if McDaniel would have been here, you're not. So you're saying McDaniel would have won, you would have been okay with him winning, but any other coach, you're not okay with them winning.
This team, we're not winning this year.
Okay, so if you know that, McDaniel knows that.
Okay, I don't give a shit what McDaniel knew. McDaniel's not going to quit because they're not going to win.
Okay, so why are we hyping up McDaniel just to know that he's going to get canned anyway?
You're saying
he's not going to quit his job.
Rebuild with McDaniel, and give him that same grace period.
Exactly.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. This year we only got the 11th pick. We got no cap space. We got Tua under contract. We got to move on from Hill. We got to move on from Chubb. We weren't attractive to a potential head coach. Next year we'll have $150 million in free agency money. We'll have a top 10 draft pick, a top 5 draft pick, maybe the number 1 draft pick. You go out and you hire your coach then. A coach is more likely to come to the Miami Dolphins if you got the number 1 pick in the draft. You got $150 million to build with.
Yeah,
we would have been attractive. Next year, we would have been attractive to a potential head coach.
Okay, but that's next year. If McDaniel would have been here, next year doesn't really help him. You're going to give him another free pass?
No, I don't give a shit. You're not here. You're putting too much.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to have him stay another year in a tank year, that warrants him to have a free pass with the new personnel that's coming in. No, you're going to get rid of him regardless.
Yeah, I agree with Cap. Like getting the coach in here a little bit earlier, I don't think is a bad thing. I don't, because we still have young talent to evaluate. Aside
What
from
talent?
If McDaniel was still here, is what I'm saying. I'm prefacing by saying if he was still here, and the logic would be, okay, this is not going to be a good year anyway, and he knows that, he's going to get a free year to tank.
No,
That's him
he's
saying
not
like
going to
that.
get a free. He's not going to get a free year. You're going to fire him, and you're
Okay,
going
so
to
then
look
what's
for a
the
head coach.
point? What I'm saying is,
then?
if you're mad they didn't keep McDaniel, you're going to fire him anyway.
Are you
Because
saying
you're
we
going to have a
limited
better head
ourselves?
coach. You're going to have a better head coaching option next year.
Maybe. I mean, think
Maybe.
about Miami.
100%. 100%. Sean McDermott and Mike Tomlin's going to be available.
Yeah, but do they want to come to Miami? Look at the division
Next
that
year-
we're in.
Next year they would want to, because we'll have a top 10 draft pick and we'll have 150 million in cap space.
And
Look, what I'm trying to say,
team
if that
around
was
zero
doable,
team in a tough division and in an organization that has historically floundered for the last 30 years.
bro,
Do you really
all
want
I
to go
know
to that if you're a head
if
coach?
that was doable with those guys, and I know what I know about Miami, and I know they like to overpay, they would have paid those guys to come for this year, and they would have stayed. They knew that they didn't want to start a rebuild.
They're going to rebuilds anyway.
Okay, but if they're established coaches, what makes you think they want to start over?
Appealing teams to me were like the New York Giants, right? There's the Eagles seem to be on a little bit of a slide. There's not that much competition in the division. That's a great scenario. They already have a QB. They've got youth at receiver.
The Giants?
Yeah.
The Giants ain't are you kidding me?
That's a great team to go to after they fire their coach.
You got the Eagles, you got Washington. If Daniels comes back
That
healthy next
division
year,
was weak this year.
I can see the Giants surpassing
That division was weaker than our. Look at the two teams that are leading our division, though. Who's going to compete with the Bills and the Patriots right now?
First off, I think the Patriots
Bills
are
right now
overrated.
the Bills right now have
I think
their own problems right now.
Yeah, I think the Bills are in
decline.
Absolutely.
I would love that, but it's hard to assume that, right? They still
and
have
I think New England's
core.
overrated. New England played 4 or 5 games this year against teams over 500, and they lost 2 or 3 of them. They got severely lucky in the playoffs. They played C.J. Stroud and the Texans, and C.J. Stroud just mailed it in. They played a Denver Broncos team without their starting quarterback. They got lucky this year. They got super lucky.
I think in our conference,
I don't think the Patriots are that good.
In our conference, I think the AFC South and the AFC North would be way more appealing than the East and the West. Look at that new Raiders coach, what he's got to deal with going forward. He's got to go against Bo Nix and Sean Payton, Reed and Mahomes and Herbert and Harbaugh. There's no shot that the Raiders are winning for a while, right? Even though they have the first overall pick and a bunch of room to spend, they're not going to be good for a while, right? So I don't think it's mainly about the pick and the money. It's about the team that you have existing there. Not too.
Well, I mean, it's definitely about it's definitely about picking money too. You know what I mean? Like do you want to go to the Dolphins if they got the 11th pick and they're $50 million over the salary cap? You got to deal with the Tua contract. You got to deal with Tyreek's contract. There's
you got to deal with Stephen Ross too.
There's little talent on the team right now. Like
you have
it's
an
not attractive.
GM. Yeah, we don't have a proven GM. We don't. It's not like we have like player coaches in the locker room. We've got one guy that everyone seems to love, which is Jordan Brooks. Like there's nothing in Miami that really appeals to me other than the fact that you can have a grace period. You know, that was our appealing piece this year, right? Like we know whoever was interviewing for our coach position knows that they aren't going to be fired after year 1.
But that's the reason you don't go looking for a head coach this year, and that's why I think we got this all wrong. We're putting too much stock in these Green Bay Packers guys because the success the Green Bay Packers have had the last 30 years, but that success is mostly based on quarterback play.
I do hear what you're saying, but I think that there's value in having Halfley in here a year before we start having all that money and the good pick and everything. There's still young guys he has to evaluate. We still have to get our defense set to his style. There's a lot we have to do. So to do that a year ahead of time, I think is beneficial.
I think it's a waste of time, to be honest, and that's my opinion. I think we're going to waste 2-3 years with these guys, and we're going to be right back where we are right now.
Maybe, but at least it's looking like it won't be with Tua, and that's something to hang our hats on.
I think we can meet halfway in here, and if that's the scenario that we don't do good the next 2 years, then Halfley would probably be gone with some void years to help him on the way out, and we get a new coach. That's usually how it works. I mean, Greer got the luxury of getting how many coaches? 3 or 4?
Yeah, Greer was like a cancer.
Yeah, I'm happy that I'm happy that we got rid of Greer. Greer needed to go. McDaniel, not so much. McDaniel had his faults. I think McDaniel's going to end up being a great head coach in this league. I think learning under Jim Harbaugh is going to do amazing things for him. And I think he's going to end up. He just got such a great offensive mind that, he never got an opportunity to work with an elite quarterback. You know what I mean?
I just hope he's better at speaking in the locker room than he is in front of cameras. Because if he's going into the locker room and giving them game plan and speeches like he does at the podium, I'm not getting behind that as a player. I'm not motivated.
Oh yeah, but I think the players loved him, and I don't think he talked like that. I think his press conferences were nauseating. I hated listening to him. You're trying to just decipher what he's fucking saying, and he's just twisting his words a million. But also, I loved what Mike McDaniel brought to the team too. Like, what other head coach in the NFL is pulling up outside of a traditional Buffalo Bills bar and being like, "What's up?" You know what I mean? After running them through the wire, you know what I mean?
Over flavor. I'd want a hard ass as the coach. I don't. It's kind of like, you ever have those friends that when you were a kid that had the parents that didn't give a shit and everyone went to their house and did whatever they wanted to. It's like, yeah, you like them, but they're not good parents for doing that, right? It's the same thing with the coach. Like, we need to have someone who actually has control of the ship.
I think this day and age, it's hard to get coaches like that. These kids are coming into the NFL dirty rich. You know what I mean?
I agree. That's why
they're rich. They're rich in college, driving Ferraris and Phantoms and shit in college. You know what I mean?
That's a great point. They're not as hungry.
Yeah, and plus every contract is negotiable these days, right? So it's like, they know if they don't get their way, their agent's going to do something to either get them paid or get them moved, right? If they're slightly unhappy. So yeah, it's harder to find that.
Rocky's is a Patriots fan. He says, good news, an automatic 2-spot win every year against the Dolphins. Man, listen, join the channel. I love talking with Patriots fans, Bills fans, Jets fans. We can go back and forth all day, every day. Y'all had a great season this year, but I think you're a little overrated.
I think Vrabel's overrated. I think May is more legitimate than I thought he was.
I agree. I think Mike Vrabel's an overrated coach. I think he's a good head coach. I just don't think he's a top head coach.
Okay, so if you don't, but you got to look at it like this, though. He beat McDaniel 3 times when he was playing against the Dolphins with Tennessee Titans.
We beat ourselves some of those times, though.
I agree. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. I love you. I appreciate you guys stopping through. We'll do this again anytime.
All right.
But I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping through, homies.
Yep.
Hit that like button, subscribe, comment, share. We do this all the time. I'm going to start opening it up a lot more because I love to have these conversations. I love to, we lose track of time and talk Dolphin football. Great time. Rocky, I got open invitation. You come on the show Friday morning. Let's do it. 10 a.m. Come on, talk Patriot football. Tell us why you guys are the new leaders of the AFC. But until then, I love y'all. You know what time it is. Fins up. And I'll talk to y'all later. Until then, peace.
Yo. Big C in the house. You know the name. Fin Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami heat blazing. We scorching the fall. You know the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play by play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squash the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Fin Posse podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Fin Posse, we the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it Aqua Tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.